I never anticipated that the night would unfold in the manner it did. Alex was the type of individual who did not require any effort to distinguish himself. He was tall, confident, and endearing in a manner that caused your skin to tingle even before he touched you. He smiled as if he already knew I would be his next adventure before I even entered the bar. Our eyes met. "Hey," he said, leaning in just enough to cause my breath to pause. "Clara," I replied, my pulse thumping with anticipation that this evening would have a purpose. He was magnetic, confident, and playful. He murmured, "Let's leave," after consuming a few drinks. Additionally, I desired to his embrace was ablaze, and his kiss was even more seductive. However, just as I was about to surrender to him entirely, Ryan appeared. He was the antithesis of Alex, standing alone at the fringe of the party, silent, composed, and intense. There was something about him that caused everything else to fade. He refrained from approaching, as if anticipating my arrival. "I did, Ryan," and he responded with a subdued voice and a steady gaze. We conversed extensively. He made inquiries that had never been posed before. "Felt as though I was observed. I understand that you are available tonight," he whispered to Clara, brushing his fingertips across my arm. There were no rules, only the truth was spoken. Then James entered the room, and the entire atmosphere changed. He did not smile to be charming, he did not require it. His power emanated from him, and he did not request attention, rather he demanded it. Upon recognizing me, he proceeded directly toward me, unaffected by Alex's fire or Ryan's depth. "You appear to be in search of something more," he said, his voice deep and assured. "I will present it to you." Suddenly, I found myself in the middle of all three of them. I am being pulled apart by three distinct types of energy. Ryan's intensity, Alex's fire, James with dominion. What do you do when every pore of your being yearns to say, yes? You cease to contemplate, and I did. A single kiss evolved into another, and a single contact into a tempest. I was not making a decision, rather I was relinquishing control. Indulging in the disorder that I was unaware I desired, I ceased to be the version of myself who consistently maintained a sense of security that evening and instead ventured into the unfamiliar with reckless abandon. The subsequent morning was exceedingly harsh. I awoke alone, my sheets tangled, my makeup smudged, and my pulse pounding with the weight of everything else. My body remembered every moment, and so did my consciousness. But beneath the hangover and remorse lay something else, power. I had never felt more alive or in control of my own desires. I was unable to identify the woman who was gazing back at me as I stood at the edge of the mirror. She was more courageous, more daring, and more perilous. Had I caused significant damage to an item, perhaps I could have discovered something more profound. Certainly I was not the same Clara who entered that celebration, and I was unable to return. This was not the conclusion of my narrative. Rather, it marked the commencement. Clara had exited the residence, but her strides were trembling due to her uncertainty. The street was illuminated by the soft light of the rising sun, and the air was tinged with the melancholy of the night that had just passed. She could still hear the faint echoes of the party as well as James's whispers. Ryan's serene expression and Alex's unbridled vitality. Although everything appeared to be a dream, the repercussions of that dream continued to linger on her skin, reminiscent of an unforgettable contact. The question she asked herself was, what was all this? However, no one was present to provide an answer. Was it sin or freedom? She came to a halt near a cafe where individuals were collecting their morning coffee in preparation for another day at work. The lives of all individuals appeared to be in order. However, she was traveling on a path that was far from ordinary, with no potential for return. Had she truly crossed a line, or was it merely a transient moment of irresponsibility? However, the reality was that she desired to experience that recklessness once more. She extracted her phone while sipping her coffee. There was a blinking notification. The message that James sent last night was truly remarkable. Are you available for another meeting? Her heart missed a beat. She was aware that James' attention was magnetic and potentially destructive, similar to a hazardous game. Subsequently, Alex sent her a message stating, "I still feel the emotions we shared last night. What are you seeking?" Clara, the most unexpected aspect was that Ryan had not sent any correspondence. Was this a signal for her to forget him? Or was he anticipating Clara's initial action? Clara was engulfed in a tidal wave of emotions, but it was evident that the narrative was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. She sat on the park bench, gazing at her phone. James, Alex, and Ryan had each left a unique impression on her, each offering something unique. However, she now realized something as the morning air cooled her flushed complexion. This was not about them, it was about her. For an extended period, she had been in pursuit of exhilaration, attempting to escape monotony and find something to bring her back to life. The previous evening had provided her with that rush. However, in the light of day, she could now see things more clearly. She had been consumed by passion throughout the night. However, what transpires subsequent to this? There will be additional nights that are similar to this one, with more instances that are ambiguous between pleasure and confusion. Or something genuine. It was not an error. It was a recurring pattern. The oppressive weight of betrayal weighed down on him. Nevertheless, a disturbing realization emerged from the ruins. Sylvia was not merely deceiving him. She had been lost for years, drifting in silence. Bruce continued to appear to be her. Daniel requested that they meet in person. A tiny bookshop cafe is open on Tuesday at noon. He arrived early, unobserved, and observed Sylvia as she entered. She appeared different, as she lacked makeup. Her countenance was fatigued. She sat in the corner, nervously tapping her cup with her fingertips, waiting for an individual who did not exist. Bruce departed without uttering a word. He did not require additional evidence. Rather, he required answers from within himself. Silence ensued for several days. There will be no further correspondence from Daniel. There will be no more monitoring. There will be only waiting. Would Sylvia be aware? Would she be concerned? She was. She discovered him in his study one evening. "Bruce, may we engage in conversation?" Her voice fluctuated. She whispered, "I feel like I am drowning. I keep imagining a different life, and I hate myself for it." He nodded. "I have always been kind to you, but I no longer feel like myself. I am not the same person I was when we were married, and I am uncertain as to whether you recognize me at this time." Bruce took a deep breath. "Perhaps I have not. Perhaps I was so preoccupied with maintaining order that I failed to recognize the extent to which we were both disintegrating." Her eyes filled with tears as she inquired, "Do you harbor animosity toward me?" She replied, "I believe we have forgotten how to be candid with one another." She drew a shaky breath and stated, "I have been conversing with an individual online. Initially it was harmless, but I believe that I was utilizing him as a means of escape. I am unaware of his true identity." Bruce exhaled. "I am aware." Sylvia's expression was bewildered. "What?" "I was him," he acknowledged. "I had to comprehend, and I apologize." She gazed stupefied. Subsequently, she shed tears. For the first time in years, they sat in silence, holding the truth between them not as a weapon but as something fragile and new. They pursued therapy for months and engaged in discussions that revealed years of concealed pain. Some evenings, they laughed as they used to. On other nights, they sat in silence, but it was an honest silence. Bruce discovered an unlabeled cassette in their attic one evening. He was intrigued and played it on a static setting. Then, Sylvia Younger sat in their first apartment, her hair drawn back and wearing an old hoodie of his. She stared directly at the camera, expressing her uncertainty as to why she was recording it. She may have been recording it to recollect the sensation of being seen, as she felt as though she was vanishing. She expressed her affection for him, but she was also apprehensive. "I am apprehensive that we will drift without our awareness, that we will awaken as aliens. I hope we were able to resolve this issue if you ever come across it. I hope we did not give up. Suddenly, the screen went dark. Bruce remained in a state of shocked silence. Subsequently, he presented it to Sylvia, who observed her eyes as they glistened. She murmured, "I cannot recall creating this." He offered a faint smile. "It is possible that it was intended for this particular iteration of ourselves." On that night, they did not weep or spiral, rather, they simply held each other. Some narratives conclude with a quiet decision to continue together, rather than with pyrotechnics.